My name is Jazzmin Dian Moore, and as you can see, I'm a drag queen. But maybe you cannot see it at all. That is the art of drag. A drag queen can be everything, and anybody can be a drag queen. It doesn't have to necessarily just be a guy dressing in female clothes. It can also be a woman dressing in male clothes, so that would be a drag king, for example. Drag queens, drag kings can be any age, any race. They can come from any culture, and drag queens have been around for more than a couple hundred years. So Shakespeare always had a little side note in his script, D-R-A-G, which meant dressed as a girl, and that's where the word drag actually comes from. I identify myself 50% Lee and 50% Jazzmin anyway. There's no big change for me in person when I do my makeup that it suddenly kicks in and I say, oh, now I feel like Jazzmin. What can change is that when I do my makeup and I'm really, really happy the way it turned out, because not every time it's a success, then sometimes I'll have that feeling like, oh, today I feel really beautiful, but it has nothing to do with the identification of Jazzmin kicking in, because I'm Jazzmin through and through. Mostly I get dressed first, and then I put on my hair. So that's like the very last thing that I do. Put on my hair, and then I just leave the house. The very first time I actually did drag, and I didn't know that it was drag, was when I went to Carnival, and I was, I think I was about 11 years old or 10 years old, and I dressed up as a cowgirl. And I could remember that moment very, very well because my grandmother stood in front of me and my mother stood in front of me, looked at me and were like, oh my God, you look like a girl. And at that very moment, I felt very, very proud and very happy and excited at the same time, but I also was a bit scared and shocked by the expression which I was able to read in their faces. People at first wouldn't really recognize that I'm a drag queen, sometimes if they look at me in the second angle, but with other people or with other drag performers, they will immediately notice. And I personally use the term drag as a kind of extension to myself because I define myself as non-binary, which means I see myself 50% male and 50% female. And that's how I live, that's how I think, that's who I am. So I started off doing drag just with the intention of being a theater artist or an artist and in the early days or just being a freak for the society. I evolved my drag character, and I have this really cool picture just to show you how I used to look like. The style has definitely evolved because I started off doing drag almost looking like an alien. And I mean, our shoes were this high, we had that much makeup, our lashes were this long. The perception of society actually is that most drag queens and drag kings are lesbian or gay because you see them in the magazines or in the news, at Christopher Street parades and prides, because they're portrayed in very loud manners. But at the end of the day, you don't really know what's behind that particular mask. If the person is really heterosexual or gay, you don't know. I started off as a drag queen looking like a mess. I mean, my makeup really was not good. Nobody taught me, nobody told me anything, and I just tried and tried and tried. And my drag mother at that time always said, oh no, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. And so I always tried and tried and tried to improve. A drag mother mostly is a person who is doing drag before you, and sometimes you have younger people who come up to you and say, hey, could you maybe teach me, or could you take me in or under your wings and show me how to become a drag queen or drag king? And that's your drag mother. Drag can be everything. Drag can be something like me. Drag can be something very, very colorful and very, very different. drag can be fat, drag can be skinny, drag can have a head on top of a head. As I said, it really can be anything, and that's a little bit of the downside of having a product which is so mainstream, portraying what beauty actually is and defines what beauty is, because beauty is more than just one little box. And I recently had the incident again, which hasn't happened in many years, and I was quite shocked again, that I went to a nightclub in private as a drag queen, and almost every single gay person had the need to push down my clothes and see my bra or my breasts, and I felt very molested and unpleasant, and it made me very aggressive at the end of the day or at the end of the night. And at one point I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go home because I just do not want this. This is an abuse in a way. So now I'll challenge you. Could you yourself imagine to be a drag queen?